Hey kids, it's Jurassic James. I'm Jurassic James Explains. We're looking at Neovenator. So I've been waiting for this one for a long time. So Neovenator, of course, oldest models here, younger ones here. We're going to go over their environment, how they're classified, their family, all the things. So first and foremost, in 1978, there was a storm on the Isle of Wright, which is, think of or England, and then there's a little island at the very bottom of England on the south side. And on the south side of the island, the storm happened and the rock fell off, and some people who were on vacation found it. The cool thing to point out here is that people think paleontologists were just digging. If a storm comes, that's always kind of great before we start digging. While we're digging, it's very unpleasant. But I also want to point out here that when you're prospecting for fossils, which when you're looking for new things, just when storms hit, they're eroding layers every year. So it's always good to see new rock and new exposures. And that's how this guy was found. Now, the first one I want to show you, so in general, I'm going to go over classification more in detail, but in general, the Neovenator, the name means new, Venator, hunter. It's from southern England, like I said, about 125 million years ago, in the Permian stage. And so this guy is one of the largest predators in this environment. It is closely related to Allosaurus, but again, I'll go over that more in a minute. Now, the first one I bought was the 2012 Collect A Neovenator, this guy right here. And this guy, I was so excited because whenever I get a new species, it's always like great, you know, like a new Pokemon. And so I don't play Pokemon stuff, but I know it's a big deal. And so seeing this guy, what I liked the most about it was it's on two legs, it doesn't have a stand on a foot, the tail's pretty well balanced. It doesn't balance that well, but overall you get the point across. The hands are correct, the toes have the right number of toes, I believe, yeah, the little dew claws right there, 3 in the front, 3 in the side, they're like this. The skull shows that kind of Allosaurian lineage. The one thing to put out on the tip of the nose we have here is the nostril. So most of the papers, people who talk about this animal, mention how the nostril is taller than it is longer. And so the first assumption with that would be, oh, it has really gets the smell, right? And that's not to discredit that, but when we associate good smells, it has more to do with the brain than so much the actual features. What I'm saying is that when you scan a dinosaur, a theropod, predatory dinosaur skull, the outline of the brain is there. We can compare that to modern birds, reptiles, etc., and see which parts of the brain or which lobes are bigger. Which is why we think Tyrannosaurus rex has such a good sense of smell, because that part of the brain is really large, right? And so it's not necessarily showing that the nostril itself is bigger, to smell better, or have better smell. It's how it's read by the brain. In this situation, we think it's probably has to do more with thermal regulation. So keeping the body temperature at a certain range. Now, we as humans wear clothes. We have air conditioner systems. If you're an animal, you're naked out in nature, right? And so one thing to point out, well, England is very excuse me, it's very cold. But remember, in the 125 million years ago, when I mentioned these locations, don't think England is where it is today. It was as far south as like Spain or Morocco. Like it was further south, so it was a lot warmer. Like the Mediterranean region, right? Well, we now call it Mediterranean region. And so the idea here is that Dr. Lawrence Whitmer, I met him before, and he was talking about dinosaur temperature regulation, and I was like, exciting. And so he was explaining how we think about dinosaurs or prehistoric critters as being cold-blooded or warm-blooded. The idea here is that if an animal's warm-blooded, okay, it's warm-blooded, but most warm-blooded animals' biggest concern is not overheating. So the idea of whether or not they're regulated temperature is like a big debate in paleontology, but once they are warm-blooded, we know that. So, well, how are you keeping cool? I think elephants spend a lot of time in the mud, in water, hippos in the water. So these big animals try to cool off constantly. So having a large nasal area may be a way for the animal to cool off. Remember, how dogs pant, how humans sweat. We're trying to cool off our bodies because we produce so much heat. So that could be part of that. Now, overall, love this figure. Nice, great one. And then my next Neovenator is where's the name? It's Collect A as well. Really? They're both Collect A. Interesting. So, like I said before, Collect A is a company that does a lot of exotic species, right? And so this one is from the year 2007. So actually it's older. It's an older model, but I bought it second. So technically it's like this in your timeline, but I bought it like that. And so this one, of course, being older, it has a very, quote, old school generic look of a theropod. The hands are the raptor, Jurassic hands. It does maintain that very thin, narrow skull, and then the two kind of splitting point. 3 toes in the front, 1 dew claw on the back of the foot, 3 forelimbs, and the tail's way shorter. So again, this makes more sense now with the timeline that will be the first Neovenator figure, and then as you go further, you get more advanced. Next we have this guy here, and this is this is the company. Oh, Collect A again. They just, okay, does no one else care about Neovenator but Collect? Safari, Papo, guys, get your stuff together. So anyway, here's a Neovenator figure here. That's the more modern model. If you're ever wondering why they have these little things, like this little saddle, it's because it keeps the animal's feet apart. So while shipping, won't overheat and get kind of partially melted. So Collect A has made 3 Neovenator figures. What year is this? 2020. And so within a 13-year period, they made 3 of these figures, and like no one else but Jurassic Park has. I'm genuinely offended by that. So why? I'll tell you why he's an important animal, but still, it's kind of annoying. So this guy, of course, this is just my speculation or whatever. This feels like a juvenile. Like, I don't know why. I just think this is smaller. And I'm pretty sure this is I'm pretty sure these guys didn't sell as well. I mean, that kids want to buy Triceratops, T-Rex, Velociraptor, T-Rex, Velociraptor, T-Rex, Velociraptor. So they often make figures smaller because they're not selling as well. And of course, for me, any figure is an example. But what I like about this guy, of course, it has the right number of toes and feet. With the hand, but the skull's very narrow, has a little crest over the orbit, the eyes, the hand. Now with predatory dinosaurs, I've always told you they usually have 3 fingers, with a few exceptions like the Tyrannosaurs or the Abylosaurs and all that. But we have these 5 digits. This guy has 3. What I like about this the most in his hands is that usually, like our first guy, you just see 3 large foot. It's kind of hinting at it, but there are 3 large fingers. With the one here, really this first finger, not a thumb for humans, but this first digit kind of goes a different direction than the other 2. And we see that in these predatory dinosaurs now. So you're seeing that adaptation in the design and engineering of the toy. That they do have the first claw kind of going up more and the other 2 going down. That's a good sign. Overall, I like, cool test. So if you look at the animal head on, look at the eyes right there. And so what's going on when you're looking at how predatory dinosaurs move and attack and all that. The nose is very narrow, so you can see kind of forward facing. Some toys have bigger noses that may be not correct to the toy, to the skeleton, but overall it's a pretty good model. I like that a lot. Now our last major focus on the species itself is obviously it's a carnivore, lives early Cretaceous period, England. And here, of course, is the Jurassic World one, and here, of course, are the official scissors of Jurassic James. And that being said, we will unseat the beast. And it's the Epic Evolution line, Neovenator, Jurassic World. There's all your instructions and stuff, which I'll go over with you anyway. And so you can really see that I'm not an actual toy reviewer. I'm more of a science reviewer who uses toys, right? Let's see. Many of my YouTube colleagues their whole thing is the toy itself, right? And so here we have this animal, and there's no like battery stuff. So first and foremost, the kids need this desperately. There's your DNA code stuff. Second, I want to point out you roll it. So there's like this little kind of point here. You roll it, and it kind of has a little bit of a fit. It's like, can you smell what the Neovenator is cooking? I don't know why I said that. And so again, the hands are great because they are palm to palm. I like the gloss on the claws. That's really neat. Same thing on the toes. There is the dew claw on the side. Very good. 3 toes in the front. Again, the foot would not be this massive because again, in real life, this is just added on for engineering, most likely, because it would have probably lifted it more off the ground. These scales and bumps here are unknown. That's interpretation, basically. The one thing that kind of stuck out to me in the commercials when I first saw this was this little crest thing here. And so, first of all, do you know it's been estimated that there's about 70% of Neovenator known, of the holotype species, specimen. Holotype being the first one found and described. Nothing indicates this. There's no bone there. And again, this is probably something that, Jurassic World's putting out a lot of theropod dinosaurs. And how do you differentiate? I'm looking at them and going, exactly, this guy and that guy. But for the average kid or family, what's the difference, right? And so I'm pretty sure it's like a gimmick they're putting on there to say, look at this cool thing it can do. There's nothing to suggest this. Now, I'll say this way. I cannot say it's impossible because some soft tissue, maybe it's a cartilage thing, we don't know. But I'm pretty sure this is just something that the engineers put in this figure for make it stand out and sell. And so it's not like the Dilophosaurus neck frill in the first movie. How people are like, how do you know it didn't have it? I'm like, well, I'm not saying it's 100% impossible. What I'm saying is we know the director put that in there. So that there's no scientific suggestion. It could have been on the raptors, for God's sakes, you know. So this feature here is something we don't really see in science. But I do like that there's this, you know, the crest right here. And I do like that the nostril is pretty large. They seem to have read something about this. Or maybe it was just a giant guess, who knows. Overall, the articulation does that. I mean, the arms are a part of the hinging here. A little snapping there, right? And the tail, of course, is a little too short for my taste, but go for it. And so, here's the thing. So, I'm going to use these two new guys to explain to you the ecology. And so, let's put you guys with your cousins over here. Your American cousin, Acrocaptosaurus. So, Neovenator, its environment. So, the first thing to point out, the first specimen found in 1978, there was you know, you first find these bones. The question is it a dinosaur, right? Well, is it a bone? And then is it a dinosaur? Okay, what kind of dinosaur is it? And so we don't look at it and go, oh, it's exactly this species. In fact, I was digging this last summer, and we were in the Morrison Formation on a ranch, and I found a bone, a fragment of a bone, and I asked the lead paleontologist, like, hey, what do you think it is? And they go, it's a bone from the Morrison Formation. I said, well, yeah, I think it's a diplot. I mean, given where we were, is it a Barosaurus? Is it a Stegosaur, Brachiosaur? Yeah, what kind of fragment bone? He goes, it's a dinosaur from the Morrison Formation. I'm like, got it. Until you start prepping and cleaning it to compare it, you don't know, right? So they knew it wasn't a rock, it was a theropod, some kind of a predatory dinosaur. The other fossil found was an ornithopod. Now, first and foremost, let's go, okay, so first and foremost, the name Iguanodon has become, and this is the Jurassic World Iguanodon, I've done a video on this guy already. Iguanodon has become what we call a wastebasket taxon, meaning that a lot of, like Megalosaurus, a lot of dinosaurs you find, you go, probably this guy. And later on someone goes, no, these bones are different, it's another species. So this is the Jurassic World Iguanodon with their incorrect number of toes. That makes me so angry. It's so close to being pretty cool. It has 2 toes here, it should have 3, and there's 2 on the sides. And then the thumb spike is greatly reduced, which is just, that's like its most iconic feature. But anyway, and here's a Papua Iguanodon, which is inspired by Disney's dinosaur Aladar. So anyway, it was thought to be an iguanodon. It turns out the animal they found with the Neovenator was Metallosaurus. And Metallosaurus, this is a collect A, once again, 2018. So this guy and this guy are like buddies. They're in the same wave, although they're not to scale, because Metallosaurus is way smaller than like the average iguanodon. And so these are found on the same spot, same location. Other animals to be contending with in this environment are Polacanthus. Now, Polacanthus was seen first in Walking with Dinosaurs. It's a nodosaur and colosaur. It's essentially, this is a 2017 Papo, and here is a 2008 Collect A. So there you go. You're another wave mate. I will point out to you, an unknowing thing, that these are the same genus, these are the same animal, but they look look at the armor placement. So I mentioned in some of my Ankylosaur videos how we don't quite know how every Ankylosaurus skeleton is aligned, except for Boropelta, because that guy was mummified. But you'll see different interpretations of the overall orientation of the armor on many different toys. And so that's what you're seeing happening here. Of course, we have a little guy named Eotyrannus. This is my only Eotyrannus. It is 2010 Collect A as well. So this is, you're getting a whole little set right there. And then of course we have those little bitty guys. These are called Hypsilophodonts, and they are also Collect A 2012. So these guys are essentially kind of like iguanodon type body plan or ornithopod, but they're like sheep or gazelles basically in a lot of ways. And so I'm going to put that there, and there, and that there. And finally, the environment has an animal called Baryonyx. So here's the Jurassic World Baryonyx, one of them. There's like 4 from this line, repaints. And then here is the Mojo Baryonyx. There's no year on this, from I think from Highway Lobby. And so this is not the same brand as the. I wish I had planned that better. Is there a Collect A Baryonyx that I have? I don't know. I don't see one. Anyway, so the idea that these guys are living together. So what the Isle of Wright, with this formation, has these animals. And so the only competitor that Neovenator would have had would have been Baryonyx. That's a large predator that we know of so far. So that's his neighborhood. These are his relatives. That being said, I'm going to now go over the family tree. because how it lives. And so, what's his favorite food? Iguanodons, So, again, it's Metalosaurus technically, who in his own right has its own story. Gideon Mantell, the first guy to really describe Iguanodon in the 1800s, and his wife Anne supposedly found the first two. So the question of whether he found it or she found it, I think she found it and then gave it to him, and he started doing the papers. He drew the first sketch of an iguanodon, which was like a giant iguana with a spike on its nose. And then the problem with Gideon Mantell is he was a doctor, and his wife, and he was devoting his career to paleontology, and he eventually had financial problems trying to do paleontology, and his wife and kids left him actually, which was the first real example of paleontology that does not pay. Kind of heads up on that, kids. So before I go over the family tree of this guy, I want to point out a parallel, or give you an example. So here we have some primates. So primates are the order in which we humans belong to, and the name primate, prime, means first, which is very arrogant of us to say, how do we name all the animals in the world? If you are a large mammal who eats meat, you are carnivore. So your bears, your tigers, your lions are carnivore. If you are a whale or dolphin, you're a cetacean. Dolphins, it does that. If you are a even-toed ungulate, you are an pterodactyl. But if you are one of us or near us, you are a primate, a prime, right? Right. Very arrogant. So they're all primates. But once you have all these primates, you want to say, well, how are they different? And so the first thing to point out is most of these guys have pretty flat face. Again, I'm giving you a watered-down paraphrase version. There's a whole topic here on its own. But I'm making it kid-friendly because this is what we're doing here. And so lemurs are the out group. So they're all within primate. Lemurs are the first ones out. They are not most primitive, but like the most less derived, I guess. They're these long, kind of longer faces. They're, found mainly in Madagascar. Then you have your monkeys. So monkeys have tails. So these guys are your monkeys here, and here are your apes. So monkeys' tails are outside their body. Apes' tailbones, and small ones inside the body. But within the world of monkey, we're still in primate. But within monkeys, we have two branches. We have the New World monkeys and the Old World monkeys, meaning that these guys are from the Old World, Europe, Asia, and Africa. Particularly the mandrill is from Africa. The lion-faced macaque is from India. These two guys are South America, the tamarine and the spider monkey. So they're New World, the New World, America, South America monkeys. And here's the Old World monkeys. And I think John Green on Crash Course did a joke about that. Like the New World Monkeys should be a band name. We're the New World Monkeys. Then you get to the primates. Sorry, the apes within primate. And there are two branches. There's the greater apes, who are bigger, the gorillas and orangutans. And then there is the gibbon, which is a lesser ape, which is, if you in the naming of your groups, that's you are a lesser ape. You are not quite us. You are not a part of the club. Whatever. So again, they're all primates, but then there's subgroups of lemur, Old World monkey, New World monkey, Old World monkey, but they're all monkeys. Apes, they're all apes, but lesser and greater. So see that kind of based on their features, their locality. These are how we define these things, right? That being said, Allosaurus, because Neovenator is a very important player in this long line. Allosaurus, well, first and foremost, I must tell you the original thing that some people were like, Neovenator. Are you a Megalosaurus? They're like, a lot of dinosaurs in Europe are thought to be Megalosauruses, and Megalosaurus itself has become a wastebasket taxon. This is probably my next video. And so they say, is it that? It's like, no. This guy has enough features, enough things about it that shows it's clearly closer to Allosaurus. So with that being said, I will bring out or bust out this is I think a Mojo. Yes? Yeah, Mojo Allosaurus from Hobby Lobby usually. Not going to stand? Okay. And of course, the largest so far of the Jurassic World Allosaurus. There's that one coming out with his wave, actually, coming out pretty soon. That has a evenly balanced body. So Allosaurus was discovered in North America. I don't have the skills to tell you how big of a deal that was. It was the largest theropod dinosaur at the time, known to science. So Allosaurus is then the star of Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's The Lost World, the original Lost World book, and later movie and TV show and all that. So when you're going around the world and finding all of these large predatory three-fingered dinosaurs with these crests in their eyes, you're like, look at the Allosauruses. They're late Jurassic North America, possibly Portugal, and I think somewhat Tanzania, but Portugal definitely, Iberian Peninsula, Spain and Portugal. And so a lot of dinosaurs thought, oh, it's an Allosaurid. So Neovenator being early Cretaceous, 125 million years ago, versus 144 million years ago, late Jurassic, is thought to be in this line. But then there's this a new group of understanding. So you go to North America, and other parts of America, Oklahoma particularly, and you find, and there's no Jurassic World equivalent. This is the Acrocanthosaurus, the footprints in Glen Rose, Texas. I think one of my first videos actually was on this guy here, and so they're finding that guy in North America, and then later we of course go in other Cretaceous, and then later on we have in South America Mapusaurus, which is a really big deal. Collect a 2018 Mapusaurus. There we go, one of the best on the market outside of PNSO. The Jurassic World Giganotosaurus, which I told you how I felt with this figure. I don't like it. I don't like that it does this belly roll thing. Wait, where's the button? Yeah, I don't like that at all. I don't like that at all. It's like doing this kind of like moving. Anyway, so the figure I'll show instead will be the, I think, Safari. Oh, no name here. Let's see. It must be on the tail. Oh, there's belly. It is a 2017 Safari. So again, these guys live in the same space, different times. Then you have your Jurassic World Carcharodontosaurus right here. And of course, the figure I'm going to show you is the, I think, Safari 2, 2016 Safari Carcharodontosaurus. Again, not to scale. And in Portugal, or Spain, Iberian Peninsula, we have the Concavenator, which I've done a video on, I think all of these guys, actually. And so this is the 2020 Safari. And again, here is the Jurassic World version. One of the Jurassic World versions. If I remember correctly, you push, like, there you go, that happens. The skull is way too wide. It should be more narrow, like the other guys. So these are all his cousins, right? So what's going on in paleontology is that we're finding all these big predators, and we're saying, and some smaller ones, and saying, well, how are they related? Well, it turns out we now have defined that, yes, these are all Allosaurus relatives. If you were to call these guys Allosaurid, close to Allosaurus, that wouldn't be entirely wrong. It's enough. But they have so much in common that they went after this guy's name and said the Carcharodontosaurid family are these guys. And so they are essentially the heirs to the Allosaurus lineage. And so where does Neovenator fit in this tree? He is obviously on this branch. We think of Allosaurus as being mainly Allosaurids, as being mainly like Jurassic. The Carcharodontus kind of replaced them in the Cretaceous period, right? And so Neovenator is in that branch, but the importance of the evolutionary line, is that this guy is thought to be like this kind of bridge between late Jurassic, you have early Cretaceous, and then your late Cretaceous guys. And so that's why he's kind of important evolutionarily speaking. And so just like our lemur monkeys, New World monkeys, apes, and all that, there's these different branching groups of these animals. And so when you only have initially like a couple dozen dinosaurs, you're like, oh yeah, there's a couple groups. But as you find more and more, you realize they start grouping together a lot, right? And so in the link below, I'm going to have the theropod page, and you'll see Paraconodontosaurus and all the different groups and how they're broken up and all that. That's for a reason, basically. It's a really big deal, actually. All right, that being said, that's Neovenator in a nutshell. It's a really cool animal. I love it a lot. I was going to do a video when I first, when I first got this one a few months ago, but then I saw Jurassic World was coming out with one, and I was like, well, I got to wait for that, because obviously having a bigger figure is always better for me. I like having the big figures, because, I don't know, I'm still a kid, obviously. And so this is the animal. Here's its relatives. As far as the best figure, my brain, this is it's like Miss America, Miss Universe. As far as scientific accuracy, this one is, Collect A07 is out, which makes sense. This is older design. It's between these two. I like the new one, obviously, because it has, I hate that it's so small, but I like that it's better balanced. It has, it looks really nice. Maybe it's because it's my first Neovenator. I really like this one too. So if you can find this one online, get it. Obviously get this one. And of course the toy if you like. I'm pretty sure there's a PNSO one. I'm pretty sure there are. But again, they're all the way in China. So these two, I think, are like co-winners. I like them both for different reasons. And of course this guy is fun because if you just want a toy of a cool Predator dinosaur who has a weird non-existent thing in his head, and it does like a welcome to the jungle. No, I don't know why I'm doing that. These songs, but it's really neat. It's fun, and again, it's something for your iguanodon to worry about at night. Now, that being said, I'll see you guys later. Thank you for tuning in, and I think next week, I'm gonna we're going to go old school and look at Megalosaurus, the first dinosaur. Not oldest species, the first one named by science. See you guys later.